first disconnect the battery because I don't want you guys to die. We're working with the airbag. We're going to be removing it, so make sure you do this. First thing, you're going to pull this thing down. I don't know what it's called. T20 screwdriver. Remove one screw from underneath the steering column. Pop this thing up. It's not screwed down, just pops up. It's like a hood. It's clipped in towards the gauge cluster. So you'll pull that straight out. Be careful when you do this though, because it's 10-year-old plastic. At least when I made this video, it was 10 years old. And it will break. Mine broke, and my wife was kind enough to super glue the clip back in. So turn your steering wheel to one side, remove this T20 screw, and you'll do the same thing on the other side. There's 3 altogether. With those screws out, you can remove the lower steering column cover. It just pops right off. Now with everything moved, you can now unclip the airbag out of the steering wheel. There's these metal tabs on the back side. I'm using a mirror and a flashlight so I can see. There's 2 of these metal clips, so you want to do one on each side of the steering wheel. Now once you pop those clips loose, the airbag will slide out. Be very careful. Now the bottom of the airbag is pointed, and I think it's by design so it tucks neatly into the steering wheel like so. And you can use both hands to remove the wiring harness. Okay. I'll put this somewhere safe where it's not going to blow up. Next we'll remove this center bolt that holds the steering wheel onto the steering thing. Don't do this. Look at this. I'm using a breaker bar and I'm breaking my steering wheel. Don't do that. All right, center bolt comes out. Don't lose that. Steering wheel comes off. Now on the back side, there's a couple clips, some wiring harnesses you're going to take off of the lower. There's a black control module underneath the steering column. Remove this little red clip, and the wiring harness pops out. There's a yellow plug on the other side. Disconnect that. Now we can remove this control module. There's a tab on the back side. If you push your finger in, it's kind of right in the middle. You'll feel around. Push that in, and the back side of this control module will like drop down. The front side is a little trickier, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is the control module that you just removed. This is the back side. You push this in with your finger, and when you do that, you can pull it down. On the front side, you'll need like a drill bit like I used because it's beveled tip, or you can use like an ice pick or something. Go in this front side, push in this tab. This is the front side tab that's holding the control module on. Once you remove that, you can remove this round thing. It's clipped in on the top side, these 2 clips. If you gently pull those up, it should pop off the little snaps. This black thing, I don't know what it is, but keep him safe. Now to remove the signal and wiper switches, there's this tab. You kind of gently pull that, not to break it. And yeah, see, not good video on that, but it pops off. But if you can somehow push this tab in between the switch and the steering column, that will probably help it come out a little easier. I'm using a butter knife to do that in this case, so wedge the butter knife in, and a little easier. So there you go, butter knife. Yeah, there it is. so. Yeah, slide it in and it unclips it. So now the bolts we're removing is this one. You can't see the other one because it's covered up. This is the top side of these security bolts that we need to remove. Now you're probably going to run out and get some sort of like this thing, speed out. It says it removes any screw or bolt. It doesn't. First of all, I couldn't get a standard screwdriver in there, so I borrowed my wife's little screwdriver, and that got in there just fine, but it didn't make a dent on these security bolts. This is like, I don't know what this stuff is made of, but it's really hard. So I ran out and got these now. And this is like a socket style bolt remover, and you put it on there, stick it in there, and it's supposed to bite the head of the bolt and back it out, but that doesn't work either. Now I'm telling you these things so you don't run out and buy them and waste your money, because ultimately you're gonna end up buying, wait for it, this thing, an oscillating tool. And this one was about, I don't know, 80 bucks, and I had to buy this blade for it. It's for metal. And so I charged up the battery, I got in here, I opened the holes up with this step bit that I lopped off the tip with an angle grinder so that I could get in there a little better, open those holes up so that this thing would fit in there. I angled my blade to one side, got in there, and I just cut a little notch in the top side of the security bolt so that I could kind of fashion a flathead screw out of it. Now you don't want to go too deep on this because there's tabs that these bolts go through. You don't want to cut those tabs or else you are in super big trouble. And I'll show you those tabs later, but anyway. So there's the notch that I just cut. And I used a flathead screwdriver to remove that bolt. Like so. Alright, so that's one down. I moved my blade to the other side so I can get to the other bolt. And I tried something new, I don't know. So I cut my little notch in there, and I was going to try to hammer this in there. I'm being lazy, so I don't know. Or this one was just torqued in there more. It was really hard to get this one out. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so finally came out. And there's that. You could reuse these if you wanted to, I suppose, if you're really cheap. Just go get some new ones. Remove this chingadera thing. I don't know what it is. It's on the back side of the ignition lock. There's a little wiring harness on that. Take that off. I don't know what it does, but anyway. So this thing snaps out. It's held in by these little clips on the top side of the ignition. And you go through these little windows with a flathead screwdriver to unclip it, and it just drops right out. Now this thing, you managed to salvage this, and everybody says you break it. I don't know why, but anyway. Now you don't have to buy a new one. Here we are. We got the old ignition. These two circles, you want them to line up in order for you to remove this thing. And when you got to line them up with the key, so you got to kind of finagle this thing. This is the one that's stuck, so work with it, get it turned, and then you'll want to use something kind of like a rigid wire or something. I tried using an Allen wrench, and that didn't work. So I ended up using a paper clip, and there's other videos that show how this is done. For some reason, I didn't show the paper clip going in, but I show it coming out. So it's in there, I take the paper clip out, and now it's locked in. This is the new ignition, by the way. And you can test it out. Okay. So you turn it, and you see the little lock that pops in and out. Now we're going to replace these bolts. These were the security bolt holes. So ran down to Pep Boys, and I bought these bolts. And it's a hex head, so it's good. And every bolt needs a washer, so get some washers too. I don't know. So these are the tabs I was telling you about. Do not cut these tabs. You need those. All right, so we snap the new ignition in place. We take our hex bit to put our new bolts in. Torque it to spec. I don't know what the spec is. I'm just messing with you. All right, new bolts are in. Replace the Jetta. Replace the signal and wiper switches. This black thing goes underneath. Round thing goes back. Make sure it snaps in. Black control module snaps in underneath. Make sure you line up all the connection points. Plug in the wiring harnesses on the back side, the yellow one, and the one with the little red tab. Any little screws or trim you might have taken off of this, put them back. I think there's a screw that goes here. Okay, steering wheel goes back on. Oh wait, hold on. How do you know you get it aligned right? Look at this. There's a notch right here on the steering wheel. Should align with this notch on the, whatever you call that, spline. All right, so that goes in, they're lined up, bolt goes back on. Airbag time. Same way you take it out. There's no trick to this. You just push it in. You'll feel it kind of like pop in there and snap. It won't, hopefully it won't pop out. Now this is your grommet that goes around your ignition, so you probably don't need this, but it's good to have. It just looks better and probably keeps things from rattling around. But uh-oh, we're locked. Look at this, we can unlock it now. Great. Okay, unlock the steering wheel and turn it. Replace the T20 screws. The top cover. Snap the clips in and snap the front side down. Last T20 screw. Oh. Yeah, well, why not? Reconnect the battery. And there you go. If you happen to own a Nissan Armada, you can check out my other video where I tell you how to replace the knocking actuator under the dash. If this video helped you, please subscribe or like it. Good luck, guys.